Welcome to Bedtime Stories Creepy, where dreams take a dark turn and nightmares come to life. Make sure to relax and enjoy the chilling tales that await you. Shadows of Willow Lake. Chapter 1. The Legend Awakens. In the heart of Willow Creek, where the whispers of the past intertwined with the present, stood the enigmatic Willow Lake. Surrounded by ancient trees that seemed to hold centuries of secrets within their gnarled branches, the lake was a source of both fascination and fear for the townsfolk. Tales of its cursed waters and the restless spirits said to haunt its shores have been passed down through generations, woven into the fabric of local lore. Yet, despite the warnings, Sarah, a young journalist with a thirst for adventure, remained undeterred by the ominous legends. Driven by her insatiable curiosity, Sarah embarked on a journey to unravel the mysteries of Willow Lake. With her camera slung over her shoulder and determination burning in her heart, she ventured into the heart of the forest that surrounded the lake, undaunted by the thick fog that blanketed the landscape. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, and the silence was punctuated only by the soft crunch of Sarah's footsteps on the forest floor. As she delved deeper into the woods, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It was as if unseen eyes followed her every move, their gaze piercing through the veil of mist that enveloped the trees. Yet, despite the growing sense of unease, she pressed on, drawn inexorably towards the source of the whispers that echoed through the darkness. Eventually, Sarah emerged from the forest onto the shore of Willow Lake, the water black as obsidian beneath the pale light of the moon. A chill ran down her spine as she took in the sight before her, the eerie stillness of the water, the haunting beauty of the moonlit landscape. Ignoring the voice of caution that whispered in the back of her mind, Sarah raised her camera, ready to capture the essence of the lake's haunting allure. But as she framed her shot, a sudden gust of wind swept through the trees, sending a shiver down her spine. In that moment, Sarah thought she saw movement at the edge of the water, a flicker of movement, like a shadow darting through the mist. For a brief instant, doubt crept into her mind, but she pushed it aside, determined to uncover the truth behind the legends that had plagued Willow Lake for centuries. Chapter 2. Echoes of the Past. With each click of her camera, Sarah felt a sense of exhilaration wash over her, a thrill of excitement at the prospect of capturing something truly extraordinary. But as she reviewed the images on her camera's display, her excitement turned to confusion. In each photo, a shadowy figure loomed in the background, its form indistinct yet unmistakably human. Sarah's heart skipped a beat as she realized the implications of what she was seeing. Could it be possible that the legends were true? That there truly were spirits haunting the shores of Willow Lake? Shaken but undeterred, Sarah resolved to delve deeper into the mystery that surrounded the lake. With each step she took, the fog seemed to grow thicker, enveloping her in a suffocating embrace. Strange whispers echoed through the trees, their words unintelligible yet filled with an unmistakable sense of urgency. Sarah's pulse quickened as she pressed on, her curiosity driving her forward despite the growing sense of unease. Eventually, Sarah reached a clearing at the edge of the lake, the water stretching out before her like a vast expanse of darkness. For a moment, she stood there, transfixed by the beauty of the scene before her. But then, without warning, a voice echoed in her mind, a voice that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the lake itself. "Welcome, Sarah," the voice murmured, its tone both melodic and chilling. "We've been expecting you." Startled, Sarah whirled around, searching for the source of the voice. But there was no one there, only the stillness of the night and the whispering of the trees. Trembling with a mixture of fear and excitement, she took a hesitant step forward, drawn inexorably towards the water's edge. And then, as if in response to her silent inquiry, the surface of the lake began to ripple and churn, sending waves crashing against the shore. With a sense of mounting dread, Sarah watched as something emerged from the depths, a dark, shadowy figure that seemed to materialize out of thin air. As it drew closer, she could make out its features and ethereal form, half submerged in the murky waters of Willow Lake. Chapter 3. Whispers in the Dark. As the figure drew nearer, Sarah felt a surge of fear course through her veins. There was something undeniably otherworldly about its presence, a sense of power and malevolence that sent shivers down her spine. And yet, despite her instinctive urge to flee, she couldn't tear her eyes away from the creature that loomed before her. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and defiance. The figure regarded her with eyes that glowed with an otherworldly light, its gaze piercing through the darkness like twin beacons of flame. "I am the guardian of Willow Lake," it replied, its voice a haunting whisper that echoed through the night. "Long have I slumbered beneath its depths, but now the time has come to awaken." Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as the implications of the creature's words sank in. Could it be possible that this entity was responsible for the strange occurrences that had plagued Willow Lake for centuries? And if so, what did it want from her? But before she could find answers, the creature spoke again, its voice soft yet compelling. "There is a darkness that lingers within these waters," it intoned. "A darkness that threatens to consume everything in its path. But you, Sarah, you possess the power to banish it, for you are the key to unlocking the secrets of Willow Lake." Confused and frightened, Sarah took a step back, her mind reeling with the enormity of what she had just heard. Was it possible that she held the key to unraveling the mysteries of the lake? And if so, what did that mean for her and the town of Willow Creek? But before she could contemplate the creature's words any further, a strange sensation washed over her, a feeling of being pulled towards the water's edge, as if some unseen force was compelling her to take action. With a sense of trepidation, she reached out towards the creature, her hand trembling with uncertainty. And then, in a flash of blinding light, everything changed. Chapter 4. The Pact Unraveled. As Sarah's hand made contact with the creature, she felt a surge of energy course through her veins, a strange, pulsating energy that seemed to connect her to the very heart of Willow Lake itself. In that moment, she understood the true nature of the creature's power, the ability to manipulate the elements, to control the very fabric of reality itself. But as the realization dawned on her, so too did the weight of responsibility that accompanied it. For she now knew that she alone possessed the power to banish the darkness that had plagued Willow Lake for centuries, a darkness born of a pact made in blood and sealed with the sacrifice of innocent souls. Centuries ago, when Willow Creek was but a fledgling settlement, its inhabitants had made a deal with the spirits that dwelled within the lake, a deal born of desperation and fueled by fear. In exchange for prosperity and protection, the townsfolk had agreed to sacrifice one soul every generation, a grim offering to appease the ancient spirits and ensure the survival of their community. But as the years passed and memories faded, the pact was forgotten, buried beneath layers of time and secrecy. Until now, when Sarah's presence had awakened the dormant spirits, stirring them from their slumber and demanding retribution. As she stood there on the shores of Willow Lake, Sarah knew that she had a choice to make, a choice that would determine the fate of not only herself, but the entire town of Willow Creek. Would she embrace her newfound power and confront the darkness that lurked within the depths of the lake? Or would she turn away, allowing fear and uncertainty to dictate her actions? With a sense of determination that burned bright within her heart, Sarah made her decision. She would face the darkness head-on, armed with nothing but her courage and the unwavering belief that even in the face of overwhelming odds, light would always prevail over darkness. And so, with a sense of purpose that propelled her forward, Sarah stepped into the unknown, ready to confront the shadows that lurked beneath the surface of Willow Lake. Chapter 5. A Pact Sealed in Blood. As Sarah delved deeper into the mysteries of Willow Lake, she couldn't shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at the edges of her consciousness. Everywhere she looked, she saw signs of the darkness that lurked within the twisted branches of the trees, the murky depths of the water, the ominous whispers that echoed through the night. But despite the overwhelming sense of foreboding that surrounded her, Sarah refused to give in to despair. For she knew that she possessed something that the darkness could never extinguish, a flicker of hope that burned bright within her heart, guiding her through even the darkest of times. With each passing day, Sarah uncovered more clues about the nature of the darkness that had taken root within Willow Lake. She learned of the ancient pact that had been forged between the townsfolk and the spirits that dwelled within the lake, a pact born of desperation and sealed with the blood of innocence. But as she delved deeper into the history of Willow Creek, Sarah began to realize that there was more to the story than met the eye. For hidden beneath the layers of myth and legend lay a truth far more sinister, a truth that threatened to unravel the very fabric of reality itself. As Sarah pieced together the fragments of the past, she uncovered a web of deceit and betrayal that stretched back centuries, a tangled web of lies and half-truths that had been spun by those who sought to keep the darkness at bay. And at the center of it all stood the figure of the guardian of Willow Lake, a being of immense power and malevolence, whose true motives remained shrouded in mystery. But as Sarah drew closer to the truth, she knew that she was playing a dangerous game, a game in which the stakes were nothing less than the fate of the entire town of Willow Creek. For she now understood that the darkness that lurked within the lake was far more than just a supernatural force. It was a manifestation of the collective fear and despair of those who had come before her, a reminder of the price that had been paid for the town's prosperity. And so, armed with nothing but her wits and her courage, Sarah prepared to confront the darkness head-on, knowing that the fate of Willow Creek, and perhaps the entire world, hung in the balance. Chapter 6. The Awakening. As Sarah stood on the shores of Willow Lake, she felt a sense of trepidation wash over her, a feeling of uncertainty that gnawed at the edges of her consciousness. For she knew that the time had come to confront the darkness that lurked within the depths of the lake, to confront the guardian and put an end to the cycle of fear and despair that had plagued Willow Creek for centuries. With each step she took, Sarah could feel the weight of the darkness pressing down upon her, a palpable sense of malevolence that seemed to seep into her very bones. But she refused to give in to fear, drawing strength from the knowledge that she was not alone, that she had allies who stood by her side, ready to face whatever dangers lay ahead. As she reached the water's edge, Sarah felt a surge of energy course through her veins, a surge of power that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the lake itself. With a sense of determination that burned bright within her heart, she raised her voice in defiance, calling out to the guardian that lurked within. "Show yourself, creature of darkness," she cried, her words echoing across the stillness of the night. "I know what you are, and I will not rest until you are vanquished." For a moment, there was only silence, a silence so profound that Sarah could hear the beating of her own heart. But then, with a sudden rush of air, the surface of the lake began to churn and bubble, sending waves crashing against the shore. And then, from the depths of the water, the guardian emerged, a grotesque figure cloaked in darkness, its form twisted and contorted by centuries of torment. With eyes that burned with an otherworldly light, it regarded Sarah with a mixture of curiosity and malice, its voice a chilling whisper that sent shivers down her spine. "You dare to challenge me, mortal?" it hissed, its words dripping with venom. "You, who are but a mere speck in the grand tapestry of existence. You think you can defeat me?" But Sarah stood her ground, her gaze unwavering as she faced the creature head-on. "I may be small," she replied, her voice steady despite the fear that churned within her. "But I possess something that you do not, a spark of humanity, a flicker of hope that cannot be extinguished. And with that, I will banish you from this place, once and for all." With those words, Sarah raised her hands, channeling the power that coursed through her veins into a beam of pure energy that shot forth from her fingertips, enveloping the guardian in a blinding light. And as the creature screamed in agony, consumed by the power of Sarah's resolve, she knew that victory was within her grasp, that the darkness that had plagued Willow Creek for so long would finally be vanquished. Chapter 7. The Battle for Redemption. But even as Sarah unleashed her powers upon the Guardian, she knew that the battle was far from over. For the creature was powerful beyond measure, its form shifting and contorting as it drew upon the energy of the lake itself. With each passing moment, its strength grew, threatening to overwhelm Sarah and her allies. Yet, despite the odds stacked against her, Sarah refused to give in to despair. With a fierce determination that burned bright within her heart, she continued to fight, her resolve unyielding in the face of adversity. For she knew that the fate of Willow Creek, and perhaps the entire world, hung in the balance, and she would not rest until the darkness that plagued the town was banished forever. As the battle raged on, Sarah's allies rallied to her side, their courage and determination bolstering her own. Together, they fought with a ferocity born of desperation, each blow striking true as they sought to weaken the Guardian's defenses. But despite their best efforts, the creature seemed immune to their attacks, its form shifting and twisting as it lashed out with tendrils of darkness that threatened to engulf them all. But Sarah refused to give up hope. With each passing moment, she drew strength from the bonds of friendship and love that united her with her allies, knowing that together they could overcome even the greatest of challenges. And as she faced the Guardian head-on, a glimmer of hope ignited within her heart, a spark of light that illuminated the darkness and paved the way for redemption. With a final surge of energy, Sarah unleashed her most powerful attack, yet a blast of pure light that engulfed the Guardian in a blinding explosion of energy. And as the creature's form dissolved into nothingness, a sense of peace washed over Sarah, knowing that she had triumphed over the darkness that had threatened to consume her. But even as the battle drew to a close, Sarah knew that the true challenge lay ahead to rebuild Willow Creek and heal the wounds that had been inflicted upon the town by centuries of fear and despair. And as she looked out over the tranquil waters of Willow Lake, she knew that no matter what trials lay ahead, she would face them with courage, determination, and the unwavering belief that even in the face of darkness, there was always light. Chapter 8. Redemption's Embrace. In the aftermath of the battle, Sarah and her allies worked tirelessly to rebuild Willow Creek, their efforts fueled by a sense of hope and renewal that had long been absent from the town. Together, they cleared away the debris left behind by the Guardian's destruction, laying the groundwork for a brighter future. But even as they worked, the scars of the past lingered, a painful reminder of the darkness that had once threatened to consume them all. And yet, amidst the rubble and ruins, there was a sense of camaraderie and solidarity that had never been present before, a sense of unity born of shared hardship and triumph. As days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months, Willow Creek began to flourish once more, its streets bustling with life and laughter. The townsfolk worked together to rebuild their homes and businesses, their spirits buoyed by the knowledge that they had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. But amidst the celebration, there was one question that lingered in the back of Sarah's mind, a question that had haunted her ever since she had first set foot in Willow Creek. What had become of the Guardian, and was it truly gone for good? With a sense of determination that burned bright within her heart, Sarah set out to uncover the truth. Armed with nothing but her wits and her courage, she ventured into the heart of the forest that surrounded Willow Lake, determined to find the answers she sought. As she delved deeper into the woods, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, the sense that unseen eyes followed her every move. But she pressed on, driven by the knowledge that the truth awaited her just beyond the next bend in the path. And then, as she emerged from the forest onto the shores of Willow Lake, she saw the Guardian, its form shimmering in the pale light of the moon. But instead of the malevolent creature she had faced in battle, it appeared different, somehow changed, transformed by the power of Sarah's resolve. With a sense of trepidation, Sarah approached the Guardian, her heart pounding in her chest. But as she drew nearer, she realized that it posed no threat, that it had been redeemed by the very light that had vanquished the darkness. and as she reached out to touch it, she felt a sense of peace wash over her, a feeling of redemption and renewal that filled her with hope for the future. For she knew that even in the darkest of times, there was always the possibility of redemption, that even the most malevolent of creatures could find solace in the embrace of light. And as she looked out over the tranquil waters of Willow Lake, Sarah knew that no matter what trials lay ahead, she would face them with courage, determination, and the unwavering belief that even in the face of darkness, there was always light. Chapter 9. A New Dawn. Years passed, and the town of Willow Creek thrived once more, its streets bustling with life and laughter. But beneath the surface, the memory of that fateful night lingered, a reminder of the fragility of existence and the darkness that lurked in the shadows. Yet, amidst the whispers of the past, there was hope, a beacon of light that illuminated the darkest corners of the human heart. And as Sarah looked out over the tranquil waters of Willow Lake, she knew that no matter what trials lay ahead, she would face them with courage, determination, and the unwavering belief that even in the face of darkness, there was always light. And so, as the sun set on another day in Willow Creek, Sarah stood on the shores of Willow Lake, her heart full of hope for the future. For she knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would face them with the same courage and determination that had brought her to this moment. And as she watched the sun dip below the horizon, casting its golden light across the water, she knew that the darkness that had once plagued Willow Lake was gone forever, replaced by a sense of peace and tranquility that would endure for generations to come. For even in the darkest of times, there was always hope, and as long as there was hope, there would always be light. Chapter 10. Epilogue. As the years passed, the memory of that fateful night faded into legend, a tale whispered around campfires and passed down through generations. But amidst the stories and superstitions, there was a kernel of truth, a truth that lived on in the hearts of those who had witnessed the events that had unfolded at Willow Lake. And though the town of Willow Creek continued to thrive, its streets bustling with life and laughter, there were those who never forgot the sacrifices that had been made to ensure its survival. For they knew that even in the face of darkness, there was always light, a light that burned bright within the hearts of those who refused to surrender to despair. And as Sarah looked out over the tranquil waters of Willow Lake, she knew that no matter what trials lay ahead, she would face them with courage, determination, and the unwavering belief that even in the darkest of times, there was always hope. For in the end, it was not the darkness that defined them, but the light that shone within their hearts, a light that would guide them through even the darkest of nights and into a future filled with promise and possibility. Thank you for joining us on this journey through creepy stories. Each story is crafted with care and dedication, ensuring that every spine-chilling moment is captured just for you. If you enjoyed these tales and appreciate the effort that goes into producing them, don't forget to subscribe to Bedtime Stories Creepy for more nightmares that will keep you up at night.